Here's Michael Grady at Grady via the X Machine. Follow him as 9 to Noon does, and he's getting pumped up for the season. Do you go to Palm Desert?
No.
So that's well. I mean, you got to watch the team. I don't know. I mean, it's okay. So say the Wolves preseason game Friday against the Lakers is not televised. Well, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what your life's like outside of the radio or TV, but a little trip to Palm Desert to just check on the advancement of the guys: Dillingham, Shannon Jr., Randall, and DiVincenzo when it goes official. Just sounds like a nice little trip, work trip, right?
Yeah. Not going.
All right, cool. Well, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Do you enjoy calling Lynx games or WNBA playoff games?
Playoff games. There's nothing like playoff games, as you know. There's nothing like playoff games in that atmosphere. And so I thought I was going to get sent to Vegas and was told last minute that, no, we're going to send you to Minnesota. And I could not have been more elated to have that opportunity. Not just Diana Taurasi and, potentially the last games of her career, but this Lynx team has been so good all season long. They're such a good team, and we know the atmosphere at Target Center, so that was a real joy, and I was tickled to be able to do those games.
Yeah, that game that you called, Brittany Griner brought it that night. I mean, she was really, really tough in that game that night, and it was an elimination game. And I thought the reaction Diana Taurasi got from the Minnesota crowd, I thought that was fantastic. Didn't you?
Well, this is this high IQ basketball state, and they respect good basketball. This fan base and this team has beaten Diana a lot over the years. Right. Just respect to one of the greatest to ever play the game.
What from what you know about Julius Randle and his game, what do you like about it?
He's a bully. I think that's the big thing. He's a physical guy. Enjoys contact, can get you some easy looks close to the basket. With his low center of gravity, he can get great low post position, and he's just a hassle to deal with inside. And the Timberwolves have seen that the last couple of times they've gone to the Garden to see the Knicks. He just seems like he has an outstanding game each and every time. And so I just love how relentless he is inside, how physical he is, and how he embraces that. And he's just a dog. And I think he's going to fit in well.
What about DiVincenzo?
Hit 283 three-pointers last season, third in the NBA.
He hit or shot?
He hit 283, third most in the NBA last season. And I think to have a guy who can knock down perimeter shots with a slasher like Anthony Edwards, with low post presence like a Randall, and of course Gobert as a lob threat, you just can't have enough 3-point shooters on your team.
Yeah. With your job heading into the season, getting ready to call games, what excites you overall about this team this year?
It shifted in the last few days, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A little bit.
But the goal is still the goal, and that's to go out there and to try to win a championship.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most exciting team. I think everybody says we want to win championships, but this is a squad that has a legitimate shot at winning the championship, even after this move. And I think that's the most exciting thing. Caught a lot of folks by surprise last season. There are no surprises this season. Everybody's going to be coming for this team. And so to be a part of that journey, knowing how hard it is to come out of the Western Conference, every game is going to feel like a playoff game.
Yeah. Who would you say, as the totality of the season plays out? So we're asking you to cast your gaze.
Yeah.
Like Mike Conley's clear backup. Let's just put it right there. Is there a clear backup point guard?
I think they're ready to hand the keys to Rob Dillingham.
Right.
I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to see some minutes at the backup point as well.
Can DiVincenzo play point?
I think he can help facilitate, but I mean, you just look at size. And you say Mike Conley's your one. Rob Dillingham size, he's not. You don't want him playing off ball that much. He's a great ball handler, and is going to prove to be a great facilitator. And Nickeil has seen a lot of minutes, backing up in that regard. So unless you have a lot of injuries, you don't want to worry about DiVincenzo at the one. So that's kind of your committee there at the point guard position, and then you're deep beyond that too. With Jaden McDaniels, and DiVincenzo can come in and back him up. and of course Nas and that Randall situation. I mean, it's just there's just so many different combinations that Chris Finch, who's again just one of the great coaches in the NBA and so adaptable and knows how to get through to his guys. And so I know there's a lot of question marks. How is this going to fit or how is that going to fit? I think Chris Finch is the best guy in order to figure all that out. Yeah, and his coaching staff.
And there have been some, at least social media related questions or stories about, like, okay, Nas and what's next for him with Carl gone. And then Julius Randle's coming in. Who's going to start and why? No. Personally speaking, no, Julius Randle starts. I mean, with all due respect to Nas, that role for Nas has proven to be good. You just know how it works, man. Julius Randle starts.
Yeah, and again, hopefully this is a squad that doesn't get caught up in who starts.
Yeah.
Everybody is going to play a crucial role on this team. They have 7-8 guys who could be starters on NBA rosters. And so in order to win a championship, there has to be sacrifice. And so you can't get caught up. Am I coming off the bench? Am I starting? Am I this or that, whatever?
Right.
How are you contributing to a championship
But that happens. I mean, even at the highest level, right?
It does.
You'll still see whether we're playing basketball in high school, you Indiana, me Washington, D.C., and no matter what your minutes are, when there's a ball out of bounds and a horn, it's whiplash for a lot of people. Head goes right to the bench. In fact, my coach had to tell me one time, stop looking over the bench when you hear the horn. Pay attention to the game. That happens in the NBA too, where they all want to start, they all want to play the most, and that's just not the case. When it comes to balancing.
If you are a winning team, that is less a part of the equation. And I look at the Celtics and other teams. The Celtics won, of course, a season ago, and other teams that have won in the past. That type of chit chat, that type of distraction, it goes to the back seat in the name of winning. And so if this team is going to have a successful season, then we're not going to hear a lot of chatter about I should be doing this or I should have more opportunities in this, that, or whatever.
Yeah. Now, in closing, it may be 2 minutes a game, it may be 12, it may be 20. Who knows how much Joe Ingles is going to play? It's called Joe Ingles games. I mean, he's twitchy. He's just in a world that, because of branding and social media, has morphed into the lacking of characters, the lacking of nicknames. Not with like calls and stuff like that. I mean, like Patrick, like in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes doesn't even have a nickname. We ain't going to give him this nickname because it might cost us $2.5 million here with the sponsor. You know how it works, man. Joe Ingles is he's a character. He's just a unique player. That's going to be fun, isn't it?
He's, talking to him the other day, I think people know how funny, how hilarious he is. And Mike Conley joking about the fact that Conley is no longer the oldest guy on the team anymore. And so I think Ingles is going to fill a role as a veteran presence. I think he's going to be a key communicator on this bench. And when he's asked to come into games and contribute, I think he's going to be just fine. I think the depth of this team is great. So we'll see how many minutes he actually gets. But having veteran presence who's played in a number of high-profile, big-time games, who has a relationship with two of your key players also on the roster, I think is invaluable.
I can't wait to hear you call games. I have all your albums, man. I really like how you do it. We can hearken to the Dalen and Antonio Davis days with Travis Best at point and the Flying Dutchman, Rick Smits running down the key, or we can go to what we saw last year. Oh, by the way, we will get to see you call games, right? I'm not trying to put you in a weird spot here, but Twins just went through this Bally's thing. I mean, that doesn't impact the Wolves, right?
No. It'll be, we will be able to be watched.
Good.
Comcast still all done,
Excellent.
So games will be on televiation.
Yeah.
And I can't
if
wait.
I happen to miss you there, I might catch you on a nondescript Tuesday night from Sacramento talking about Luka Doncic against Domantas Sabonis.
Yes, indeed.
Hey,
yes,
man,
indeed, my friend.
Let's do this more often during the course of the season. You're fantastic. I really enjoy your spirit.
Appreciate you, brother.
Very good at what you do, man. God
Thank
bless
you so much. Thank you so much.
Michael Grady from Timberwolves training camp at Mayo Clinic Square. We're into the second half of the program, and we'll continue after this.
Legendary comedian and actor Kevin Hart is set to return to Minnesota to see his hilarious Acting My Age tour when it comes to the Armory. A new show has been added Sunday, February 23rd. Tickets for the show go on sale Friday at 10 a.m. Full details, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
coming to catch up for a second. Then around the corner, Alan Horton, play-by-play voice for the Timberwolves on the radio. The radio would be FM 100.3, KFAN. The 9 to noon is at Mayo Clinic Square for day one of Minnesota Timberwolves training camp. We started the radio show with head coach Chris Finch, and the deal for Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, etc., has not been finalized. But is going to be finalized today. So they're going to be on the team. Karl Anthony Towns is going to play for Tibbs. But with our next guest in about 5 minutes, Alan Horton, along with Chris Finch, we're not going to put the team in a compromising position and even really joke around by mentioning their names. So that's why you heard me with Chris say, like, well, philosophically speaking, players who play bully ball or they're big and they're good ball handlers off the pick and roll. Do you like those guys? 3-and-D players. Do you like those guys? That's why we handled it that way. But if you missed, if you missed the first nearly 2 hours of the radio show, you missed Chris Finch. You also missed Johnny Krasinski in truncated fashion,
who could talk about the trade and offered great insight into it.
And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker joined us at about 9:55 for what was supposed to be like an 8-minute chat. And we went like 20 minutes, with the permission of Timberwolves PR and Nickeil. It's the first time I've ever chatted with him, first time I've ever met him. I was so inspired by that young man and his deep thinking and the way he looked at things and was so honest about, I came into the league here and I had to push through some things where I used the word selfish, and he agreed. And what he had to push through to recognize the importance of, as I said, thy, not I, but team first, a team first approach. And his responses were awesome. Didn't you enjoy that?
Super bright guy, loved the responses, loved the mentality. And as we go farther down the road with this team and you think about the bright spot as he kind of unfurled and bloomed into an important part of this team a year ago.
Yeah.
That's clearly Chris Finch moving chess pieces around on the board.
Yeah.
The trade that we're waiting to go official included. That the Nickeil Alexander-Walkers have a significant place here,
right? And
they're part of what Finch is building. So, and I've heard Nickeil do other interviews before. I've heard the audio. Didn't get a chance to meet him like I did this morning, though, and just really, really impressed by him. And one of many that you're just excited to root for here at Mayo Clinic Square.
Yeah, and in closing here, then we'll catch up with the Vox at Wolves Radio. What we're seeing from the owner's suite at Mayo Clinic Square is on one court, you have Dillingham, and we saw Josh Minot, and earlier we saw Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and so on.
There's Terrence Shannon Jr. down there in the white tee.
Oh, there he is, Terrence Shannon Jr., about ready to get his turn to shoot some threes. And on the court to the right, you have two members of the Minnesota Lynx.
I believe that's the rookie Peely.
Correct. And a couple of people who either don't play or don't play much. Off the Lynx victory last night. Well, they're getting their shots in now before the team heads east to play the Connecticut Sun. This is just such a wonderful, wonderful after mid-morning for 9 to noon, specifically for those who love basketball like us. And we just can't thank the Timberwolves and Aaron Freeman enough for the accommodations. 9 to noon continues with Alan Horton chatting about the Wolves after this.
Wild Wednesdays are back on the Fan, and we want to send you to the season opener. Caller 11 right now. Win a pair of tickets to your Minnesota Wild. Open the season next Thursday against the Columbus Blue Jackets. 1-800-320-5326. That's 1-800-320-5326. Good luck.
Oh, what's a good-looking Vox like you doing in a place like this, Alan Horton?
I'm on the radio with you. That's what we're doing. That's what guys like us end up on the radio.
Yeah, right. This is
Ben.
Alan Horton. Great. Really happy to be here. Really love the accommodations. Really love watching the speed that is Rob Dillingham. I watched a little summer league, but now it's like 40, 50 feet away from me. I'm watching the twitch, and he's right-handed, but how he passes with his left hand, how fast it is. Waiting for the Joe Ingles arrival, watching a couple of Lynx players who don't play that much. And the team just played last night, and I saw them on TV, and here they are, shooting and going through some practice. And I love basketball. I've always loved basketball. This is just phenomenal, and we're just really privileged that they had us.
And it's just tipping off, right? Their first official practice was yesterday, and now it gets off and running. I mean, we've got a preseason game Friday night in Palm Springs against J.J. Redick, LeBron James, and maybe Bronny at the same time. Probably going to hold off. I don't know if they'll play together in the preseason.
You got it on the radio?
We do. We'll have it on iHeartRadio app.
It's on the iHeart app, yeah.
And we open the season with the Lakers, too, so that, I think, will be the official time that Bronny and LeBron get to be on the court together. And look, I don't really care too much about the Lakers or anything like that, but that's a pretty cool moment. I mean, that's NBA history right there. It's never been done, father and son on the floor together. So, anyway, it ramps up real quick. There's a practice tomorrow, then we're on a plane to Palm Springs, then spend the night there, and you're back. And then next week, there's a 7-day road trip already coming up with Des Moines, and then going to Madison Square Garden. Interesting matchup against the Knicks. Nice scheduling. The Wolves-Knicks with what's going on. And then you follow that up with going to Chicago, and then back home for one to round out the preseason, and then we're underway in the regular season.
What's up, Jimmy Pete? Good to see you, brother.
Jim Pete is in the house.
We got Vox after Vox after Vox here right now. This is overwhelming. Holy cow. I'm waiting for Granville waiters to walk through that door over there. All right, 3-2. You said with what's going on with Minnesota and New York. No, just kidding. Has that trade gone official yet? Has the trade gone? Come on. Okay, cover your ears. Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, Cat going over there and everything, and eventually we're going to be able to talk to everybody about this, and it's going to be beautiful. With Anthony Edwards and the Olympics, I don't know whether you watched it or not. I watched a little of it, but I can't wait to see him. Where he emerged to a level in the postseason that he took a step, as they say in cliched fashion. But the ability to hang around Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and actually fit in, it's not, wow, you know who I am. Wow, I'm on your level. And then now this season coming up is the first full season after that whole postseason run and the identification of a true superstar. And then the Olympics and kind of carrying the show with all those superstar veterans for a little bit. Man, I just can't wait to see Anthony Edwards play.
Not only did he fit in with those guys, you saw some of the Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Instagrams and all the videos and behind-the-scenes stuff. They gravitated toward him.
Right.
I mean, they wanted to be near him because of that personality that he's got. And I thought Ant handled it extremely well. He's used to having the ball in his hands, being the main option. All of a sudden, he goes to Team USA with LeBron and KD and Steph. Now he's only getting 15 minutes a night, if that.
Right.
Now, I thought he handled it extremely well because it could have gone like it did for Jason Tatum, and all of a sudden it becomes a talking point. How is Tatum not playing and a DNP, and maybe he's unhappy or not playing well? And it didn't. Ant accepted his role. He realizes, hey, my time will come with Team USA to the point where he's one of the focal points. He's the KD, LeBron, or Steph. And that next generation, which probably comes up in 4 years.
Vox, ain't nobody trying to break news here, and the Con's going to get in with a couple of questions. But the Fan and 9 to Noon have learned Terrence Shannon Jr. can shoot. Holy cow. I mean, what a smooth shot. Anyway, go ahead.
No, they're fantastic. Speaking of Anthony Edwards, though, he takes that experience now, not only being deep in the playoffs in the spring, but then now it's gold medal cred. Liftoff is nearing us, right?
Gold medal cred, you're right. They're not taking that medal away from him. And he even said on Media Day the other day that, which I guess was just 2 days ago now, he's already picked up some things from those guys. He talked about he's got a pregame routine that he kind of picked up from LeBron a little bit that he's going to unveil. He hasn't had a chance to do it yet. I don't know what that entails, but I think it speaks to you get around these guys for however long they were together, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and you start to pick up, hey, how do you do things? When do you wake up? When do you work out? What do you eat? With all these little things, maybe not so much of how you shoot the ball or how you come off a screen. There could be some of that too, but I think it's really about the preparation that you pick up from other guys. How many times do you work out? What kind of workouts do you do? All that kind of stuff. And basically it comes back to work ethic, right? If you're willing to put in the work, and that's what Ant said. That's what it's about being great, is that work ethic and that drive, because you got to have the drive to be great. And the good news for Wolves fans is that Ant's got both of those.
And I can't remember whether it was Tim Connolly, but kind of the idea that this is a team that feels that where they left off last year, it's not that it's trophy or bust, I think was somewhere in the neighborhood of the quote, paraphrasing it, but this is a team that can achieve that.
Yeah.
And it starts with Ann.
And I think we saw that last year. They raised the level of play every night. So the floor with which they took the floor every night was raised, and they came out at a certain level. They came out and played as the number one defense in the league. And so every single night they came out at this level. And if you do that, if that's a high level, you're going to win games. And it doesn't guarantee you're going to win every night, but it gives you a really good chance. And so I think to that point, just reaching the Western Conference Finals is not the goal. It's not celebrated. We're not hanging a banner. That's got to be the level that you reach for every single year. Doesn't mean you're going to get there every year, but that's got to be the expectation. That's got to be the level of attention to detail that we saw last year that got you to that point.
How much do you think a team overcorrects, or I shouldn't say overcorrects necessarily, but corrects in the offseason where, okay, we had trouble with Kyrie and Luka Doncic. So this year, do you see corrections, or in some cases overcorrections? Is that too micromanaging of how you put a team together? Long season, of course, it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
You'll see them in a series, but
that's the thing,
taking those things and maybe adjusting.
Maybe you can see some areas where the Wolves struggle. I think it was that series against Dallas. I think mentally and physically they ran out of gas. I think that 7-game series against Denver took a toll on them. I think you could even go back to that week between games 2 and 3 when the Wolves were up 2-0. And I just, to go through that whole week, it's hearing everybody tell you you're going to be in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
To start handing out all the awards. Remember, we did all those awards. Mike got an award. Kat got an award. Rudy got Defensive Player of the Year. Jaden's all defense. And that's all great. And that raises the expectations. And I don't think the team handled it well when you look at the 3 straight losses, then coming back, but then you didn't have, and winning 6 and 7, but you didn't have anything left for Dallas, the West. And that there was no time in between those, and all of a sudden you're down 2 games to none on your home floor, and now you're fighting an uphill battle. So, but to your point, there were some specific issues against Dallas, but if you try to hone in on that, maybe you take away something that gave you an advantage against another team like Denver, and now all of a sudden maybe you don't face Dallas in the postseason. Maybe you don't face Denver, but maybe you're facing OKC. Maybe you're facing someone else. So it's tough to kind of specifically, hey, we got to beat these guys,
right?
But I think it's got to be a more general focus.
The lessons are broader,
issue. Yeah, broader thing. Hey, rebounding is an issue rather than a specific matchup against Doncic or Irving, which, almost every team doesn't have an answer for.
So I'm going to be in London Friday for the Vikings this weekend. You know what I'm going to be doing? Let's see. I don't even know what the time
I feel like you guys
be.
always play in London. How many times have you been to
This
London?
will be my 4th trip.
That's what
yeah, that's super special. You know what I'm going to be doing Friday? Maybe super early Saturday?
Fish and chips.
No.
Okay.
I'm going to be listening to you. Call the Wolves and Lakers on the free iHeartRadio app, the dedicated Timberwolves channel. And
have you figured out the time change yet?
No, but I will.
Okay.
And I will set my sleep schedule for you. And by the way, I'm bit by the WNBA and watching all those games too. Well, I'm also going to be finding the link somehow on KFAN Plus. So my sources tell me the 11th you're going to be on KFAN when the team plays the Sixers, and I'm just super happy to be back in the mix with you guys.
Absolutely.
Just as an outsider ancillary piece, going to games, watching them, listening to them, and everything. Good to see you again.
It's great to see you, PA. Great to see you, Nordo.
Well, thanks for the text during the game this last week. And I can't remember
that
what
was
you
great.
texted me.
It was a shout out to the NBA with the coach on the field.
What was it? I'm in
coach on
Green
the
Bay,
field.
and I'm like, wow, there's Alan Horton. What's he talking about?
What's the Green Bay coach? Is it
LaFleur
comes on the
field.
field
When he went
lost
nuts.
his mind.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This isn't the NBA. Get up coaches on the floor. Call it a timeout.
Right. That's right.
Hey, we got your
You're the
expertise
best, bro.
against Orlando last year. I'm hoping you've got a broader. I could bring up. It doesn't have to be Orlando,
no.
right?
No, you didn't.
I'm bringing you back out again this year.
Okay, well, you didn't have me back after then, which would indicate that I didn't do it the right way, and I think I talked too much, quite honestly.
You're great.
So I've spent a lot of time in the off season practicing my role as your 1A during a select basketball game.
Dude, you're fine. You're back. You're in.
I'll do 10 if you'll have me.
Yeah.
But if 1 is the number, that's perfect.
We can do even more than 1. We're good to go.
Hey, and thanks for being so kind to my son in Los Angeles when we went to
saw you guys a
the
ton. That was
Lakers
great.
and the Clippers.
Absolutely.
And stayed at that hotel with
Yep.
you guys. I mean, that was
that's
an
right.
unbelievable father-son trip, man.
That's great.
And he listens to you all the time. He
that's
loves
great.
you. And you were super kind to him, man.
Awesome.
So I appreciate that. That's
You
what
got it.
matters
I
more more than anything. All right, Jim Pete, basketball and broadcasting immortality. He's going to join 9 to noon around the corner into the final hour of a show that feels like it's taken 5 seconds to do. And, anyway, it's been wonderful doing the radio show. If there are any interviews that you missed, like Chris Finch or Nikhil Alexander Walker, John Krasinski, the first part of Alan Horton, then you can podcast them via KFAN.com. It's Love Covenant on demand. When 9 to noon continues, we're going to try to figure out who the individual is wearing the Groucho Marx get up with a big wig. And, that's right. No, that was just somebody working here. All right, we'll be right back.